So the astral plane is a beautiful place. In terms of largeness with the physical universe, it would appear like the size of the Pacific Ocean. That's how large the astral plane is. The physical universe, with its trillions of galaxies and stars and moons and asteroids, would appear the size of a quarter. That's how small this physical universe is compared with the astral plane. But there's so much knowledge there. There's so much awareness. You don't have to go to school there. You just look with concentration of attention at anything, and the knowledge starts unfolding itself. The same thing happened in this world. When you go to school, the teacher say you have to read the book. You have to look at the book intensely. And as you go over those words, the knowledge starts coming from inside yourself. But you think it's coming from the book or from the teachers. Those are just catalysts that help you concentrate attention. And we sometimes unduly give the attention to the teacher when we raise our hands and say, oh, would you please explain the square root of 144? And she says, okay, the square root means you're looking for the root, the beginning of that 144, and you multiply it by itself. Aha, I understand. Now they get the knowledge and they unduly give it to the teacher. But the knowledge came inside themselves. It didn't come from outside. The teacher only acted as a catalyst, a motivator for them to concentrate. So the astral plane is beautiful. It's got so much knowledge, so much awareness. These are high experiences, but actually they're low compared with the ultimate experience of the Creator. The Creator is made just like us. You, as I said earlier, you want somebody to love you for yourself, not for your money, your power, your miracles ability, or your knowledge. You want them to love you for yourself. And the Creator is made the same way. So when we seek, we should know what we're seeking. A lot of people are seeking just astral projectional experience, out-of-body experiences. They're not seeking the Creator. And the Creator will reward them, but He wants you to go higher in your seeking. So if you're just seeking these experiences, look on YouTube for somebody else. I can talk to you about other higher experiences beyond the astral and the causal. Because all of these experiences that we have in time and space, the causal plane is as large as the astral plane is to the physical universe. Except that it may be a little larger in the sense that the causal plane would be the size of maybe the Pacific Ocean as well as the Atlantic Ocean. And the physical world would be still the size of a quarter. The astral plane would be the size of a quarter too, compared with that level of consciousness. I said in my earlier tape that I had crossed the area of time and space. We create time and space. Let me go into detail of how I can simplify this even further. Every night when we go to sleep, we have a dream. We drop from the 6th floor in which I'm talking to you, and your audience is listening to me, which is somewhere behind these 2 eyeballs in the pineal gland, in that area. And that is the wakeful state of consciousness. Most people live out their entire lives on 2 floors. The 6th floor, which is the wakeful state of consciousness, and the 5th floor, which is in the area of the throat. That's where we dream from. And we don't know about other floors. To some extent, we learn when we hear about people get into a coma. They go into a coma as a result of automobile accident or being hit in the head, and they drop to a lower floor. The 4th floor, the 3rd. These are lower floors in the body. Most doctors do not know about these floors. They can tell the relatives who come in to visit these people who are in that comatose state that they've been in a coma for a week or a year, but they're still breathing. They have to be fed intravenously. They have to be cleaned up by some nurse, but they're in a state of dreaming within that body. And normally when you dream at the 5th floor, in the throat area, you don't recall everything when you wake up. You recall bits and pieces. So as you go lower and lower down into the lower floors or chakras, you can't recall unless you practice recalling. Everything is based on practice as you go down. So if you go up one stage, you can practice, but it's best to go with a teacher. Because if you go on your own by reading books or listening to people talk on YouTube and don't have a physical teacher that you can go to and ask questions, there's a silver cord in the body which can snap or get broken. And you can be lost out in the physical universe in space and not be able to get back into the body. So I think that's in some section in the Bible. It's in Ecclesiastic 12th chapter where it's talk about the silver cord being broken. Okay? Now, let me go beyond the causal plane, because the causal plane has all of the Akashic records. The astral plane got a partial amount of the Akashic records. Once you get into the astral plane, you can go back in time and see all of your lives and see how you've lived. You can even see some of these mystics who have left the earth, and they'll look as real as you looking today. And you can be like a ghost watching them talk to their disciples. And you can get direct knowledge rather than the knowledge coming from holy books. Because the holy books were written by people. Originally, as you go further back in time, there were no ink pens, no pencils, no paper. And people had to translate or transfer this knowledge to their loved ones or to their friends orally. And therefore, things can be lost in the translation. And so when the scribes or the writers came along, they went by what people told them. Just like when you go to a news conference and you hear the president of your country talk about what's going on in the world. There are so many reporters there. And they end up leaving these press conferences, live press conferences, with cartloads and cartloads of unanswered questions. Wait a minute, President, can we ask you this? Can we ask you that? And all of them got different interpretation. So we can't even understand the live conversations. But the disciples who were privileged at that time to talk to their teachers, the teachers talked one way in public through allegories and parables and symbolism, and another way in private. And when they did not understand, they could ask questions. And their teachers normally say, this is kept between you and me. This is private, but you can express it. But people won't understand you. Just like you having difficulty understanding me. In order to fully get the understanding, you have to be taught how to go behind the eyes and go into these levels of consciousness. And then you have a escort, which I had. I went into the astral plane and I lost my feeling of free will, because the free will operates only in the physical world. There's no other beings, no other species in creation, in the totality of creation, that has free will other than two. The ultimate creator, he has the feeling of free will out of knowledge. And he made us, like they say in Genesis, in the Bible, in his image. But he's not talking about physical image. He's talking about the way in which he makes decision out of knowledge, and we make decision out of ignorance. We make the same kind of decision, and we feel the same way like he feels. That is the image that he lacks. So we become the cream of the crop. We are higher than the angels, higher than the people who even go to the causal plane. Because it's only at this level that you can act and feel like you God. God will come here and allow you to kill him. He will maintain your free will to that extent. People say Jesus died on the cross. How can God die on the cross if he's God? He was acting. And he was pardon my expression, a damn good actor, worthy of the Spiritual Academy Award. And that's what we have to learn when we make spiritual progress, to get the Spiritual Academy Award from the Creator. Now, in the astral plane, you can go backwards in time and see past lives and see past events, because time itself becomes a vehicle for traveling upon. All you got to do is put your attention on time and you can go back. You can put your attention on time and go so far into the future. but the future can be changed. Now, the causal plane holds the totality of time and space. Everything that has been created in time and space, all of the beings that have been created in time and space, all of the species have all of the records there. And you can go there if you go far enough and examine these precious records and see how they came about. We made a decision from the highest stage of consciousness in which our Creator was located. He created male and female principles because he wanted to have a play. And if you look in the Bible, I believe it's in Proverbs 16 chapter 4 verse. He says, the Lord has created everything for his own pleasure. Let me use a modern word, for his own entertainment. So we are puppets. He's the puppeteer. And I'm sure people go to puppet shows when they're children and they enjoy the puppet show. So he's enjoying his puppet show. He made us out of himself. He didn't have anything else to make him out of. So if we understand this principle of male and female, that's where the whole play takes place. At all levels of consciousness below the highest level. Animals, male, female, birds, flies, insects, male, female, everything has a male-female relationship. You may find some exception of gays or gender, but I can explain that later.
Yeah.
Everything has an explanation. So if you have any questions, ask me now.
Well, I don't have any questions, Professor, because I think I asked you every question that I had, but we have questions from our viewers.
Okay, ask those.
And I'm going to ask you a couple. All right, one of the questions is this. Professor, if the astral plane is so wonderful, why do they want to come to this physical world with all its terrible issues?
I'm going to give you a very simplistic answer where even a person, I said of 8, let's say a person of even 7 can understand. When we go to sleep, we create a world that looks like this world. And we create a body. Normally the body can look like a human body. It doesn't have to look like a human body, but we can create a body that looks like a human body. And we normally don't look at the body. We look outward into that world. We look at the sky, we see a sun in the brightness of the day. We may see an airplane or two flying in the sky. We're creating all of this while we're dreaming, but we don't know we're creating. We don't know how. And that creative principle, which is in us, can create a policeman telling people not to jaywalk. And if we walking in the street, he can say, sir or ma'am, don't jaywalk. Look at the light and walk across the street in the right way. Obey the law. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll write you a ticket. We can go into a restaurant and we order some food. Let me eat a certain kind of a meal and drink a Coke. The Coke will taste exactly like it does in this world. But the quality and the intensity will be reduced because you prefer to have a real Coke, right? So as we have experiences in that world, we can see an old man with a beard at the top of a new building that he's constructing, trying to put a chimney up. We can see a young man in his 20s passing bricks up to the older man. And we can see a lady pushing a baby in a buggy. That's how time is created. It's not real. It's the background equipment of time that make us feel time is real. That's how the Lord creates time. We see things that when we come in this world, things are already here, right? When you go into the dream world, things are already there, right? You don't know how you created them. And you think they're real because your knowledge is reduced. So as you go higher up and wake up from a dream, like I said earlier, you don't have to wake up. You don't have to you don't have to pinch yourself. You don't have to open your eyes. You don't have to even move your body, and yet you know you're awake. Because your memory comes back as to how old you are at that time. Same thing happens at all levels of consciousness, except when you go above the causal plane, which is millions of years of memory, then you go into a timeless zone where there's no such thing as time. And that's where your soul is located. Your soul is full of compassion, full of life, full of knowledge. There's no words that exist beyond the causal plane. No thoughts exist there. You're just full of love, knowledge, joy, happiness, and you know that you're made of the same stuff as the Creator. Most of these holy books, as a matter of fact, all of them have a phrase. When you get to that third stage, I am that I am, which means I am that. You can't say anything other than that. So if there are other questions, please ask.
Sure.
These are different worlds of different experiences, okay?
Okay. Another question is this. Professor said that he heard some strange music on the other side when he had an NDE. That's about you, sir. What instruments did you hear in the music?
Okay. I also mentioned if you get into the causal plane, and this is in the Bible too, you can hear the sounds of trumpets, loud trumpets, or like a train going on a bridge. Brum, a real loud sound that can scare you. I heard that sound, it scared me. But as you get used to it and acclimated to the sound, then you can go into more refined areas above the causal. Then those sounds become like violins, guitars, more exquisite sounds until you get to the main sound that can pull you all the way to the level of where the Creator is. And the sounds, it's really one sound flowing from the highest level. It's like water flowing from on concrete. It'll make a little noise, but if it's flowing on rocks, you hear a more noise. If it's flowing on grass, you'll hear soft noise. And that's how the sound can change. Okay? It appear to change, let me say that. And the Creator is that sound. He's that music. He's that vibratory energy. That's why so many people run toward music in this world. All of those musical hits are being inspired from another level of consciousness. And people get those hits and think that they're creating them. They write, they're struggling, and then the inspiration comes where this door gets cracked just a little bit. And the lyrics come. And they create beautiful music because of their karma. Okay?
Right. Yeah, I agree with you, yeah. Because they have to be in a certain state of consciousness to kind of tune in with that music from the universe so that music can go through them and then be written on a paper or whatever.
Imagination is in everybody to certain degrees. And food can reduce or restrict imagination to lower levels of thinking. So if you eat the right kind of food, it can make your imagination flow easier. Like Einstein, he ate plant-based food. We consider him a genius if you went to college. He came up with the fantastic theory of E equals MC squared, which changed the whole nature of the world because Hitler was working on an atomic bomb and he was trying to kill all of the Jews. And Einstein was fortunate to leave Germany, came to America, and wrote a letter to President Roosevelt at that time that we should work on the atomic bomb because if Hitler gets it before us, he'll be in charge of the whole planet. You understand?
Yes, sir. Let's come back to the astral world.
Okay, the astral plane. What was that question again?
All right. Well, we asked about the music. You already answered that.
Yes,
nice.
yes.
Now, next question is this. This is already my questions. Professor, how do you compare this physical plane with the astral plane?
Okay, if you can understand the dream world and the mechanics now of how the dream world operates, then 90% of all questions that people have about spirituality can be answered. Because the dream operates, we're dreaming right now. And all of these worlds or experiences are operating, even though they're not real. We're projecting. When you have an experience, the experience is real, but not the objects and things of that experience. Let me repeat that. The experience that you have, even in the dream world, is real to you. And when you wake up, you remember that experience, but not the objects and things. They all disappear. They're not real. So we have the same thing and power that the Creator has because we have His consciousness. He creates everything the same way. He had a fantastic dream and all of us came in creation. And when we go back, we have to seek Him, not for His experiences, but for Himself. And the only thing that can make you seek anything for itself, especially if it's living, human being, is to love it ridiculously. So in Matthew's chapter 37, verse 22, you must love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, and mind. And you can love your neighbor as yourself because you'll see your neighbor. You actually see God inside of your neighbor, just like you can see the sun in broad daylight. You'll see God. It's no longer a question then. You see Him. And then you become God ultimately. You'll be a co-creator along with Him.
All right. Now, this is another question from the viewers. Why do you quote religious books like the Bible if you say that religion is the problem?
Okay. All of these holy books, the Bhagavad Gita, Quran, the Rig Vedas, the Mahabharata, the Ada Granth, the Tao Te Ching, all of these books started from a human being who knew how to go inside the body. That human being learned from a teacher in the physical world how to do this. Because we learn everything from a teacher. The first teacher we have is normally our parents. You can say the mother. The mother teaches the baby how to walk, how to change the diapers, how to tie his shoes, how to put on his clothes. And then she may take the baby or the child to the church or to a mosque or to a cemetery, or a place of worship. And they learn from the rabbi, the preachers, the ministers. And that's where they get messed up to some extent. Because these ministers don't know how to go inside their bodies. These rabbis don't know how to go. They only can interpret what they read in the books. And they don't know that such a thing is possible. Many of them are beginning to learn based on the evolution of science today with clinical death experiences, out-of-body experiences, but they still don't understand it. And so if you can understand the dream world, 90% of how spirituality operates is embedded within the dream experience. Projection, experience, and waking up, okay?
All right, talking about waking up, Professor, you mentioned here a couple of times that you said that when we are awake from a dream. So my question is this. Are you, Professor Brinson, awake from the dream, and how that awakening is expressed in your life here on this plane?
Okay, if you wake up from a dream and you have some memory of being in the astral plane, then you get into a strange state of knowing that you're related to the Creator. And that state is not artificial, it's born of experience. As you hold on to this vague memory or lucid memory, you are in a state of great happiness and joy. Your joy starts expanding as you go higher and higher up. That's what we all looking for, happiness. It's hard to understand unless you can go inside the body and with a teacher who can guide you. Any other questions?
Sure, sir. I have a couple more questions. I always have questions for you. I enjoy talking to you, sir. You are such a great storyteller. It's amazing.
But you're getting so high. I'm looking at your eyes. You're getting so much happiness already, right? But why are you robbing me of my happiness? Go on. I'm just joking.
I think you are happy too when you talk to when I ask questions. Anyway.
Yes.
Next question is this, sir. You mentioned that we create our own time and space, but some religions, they believe in destiny. They don't believe in creation. They don't believe that we can change something. They say, okay, this is what's written for you, and this is what's going to happen.
Okay.
But you said we create our own time and space. And again, I want to give you my 5 cents here. I think we create our own lives every day, every minute actually. We can change everything. And some of my guests say that we can even change the past. We have the power to change our past because people regret about the past all the time. They think about the past. Some people just commit suicide because of the past.
Yes.
Crazy. Yeah.
You want me to try to answer that question?
Please do that. Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, and everybody in your audience will agree that God is omniscient, which means all-knowing, all-powerful, and everywhere present. So he's the superpower. He has all of the knowledge. We have part of it. And when we change the past, it is in the karma. We feel we have changed it, and it actually changes based on the karma. It's like in a movie, the director comes and said, no, let's change this. The director's changing it, and the actor's just acting it out. And so when you watch the movie, it looks real. You say, oh, this man was supposed to go this way. Now he's changed and going this way. You start enjoying the movie. So the Lord has created this whole play for him, for his own pleasure. And we can change it, or we get the illusion that we changed it, which is real to us. But if we go far enough, we know that we, through him, are changing it, not us. He has merged his will with our illusionary will, and we're nothing but puppets. There are two types of puppets in this world. You got the realized puppets, who are God, and you have the unrealized puppets, which are human beings. Okay?
All right.
And we all dance into the same tune.
Yeah,
which is the music.
Exactly, yeah. We're all dancing the cosmical dance in unison with the universe.
Yes.
Even if we don't realize that.
We don't realize.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, being on the other side, we didn't speak about your near-death experience here, but let me ask you again. When you were on the other side, have you seen any significant events that will happen in the near future?
Yes. I don't want to depress anybody. My teacher explained this to me. He said when he was having his spiritual ascent with his master, he wanted to see deeper into the future. So he told me that the future will become depopulated in the next 2,000 years or so because of nuclear weapons. There'll be few people on Earth, and there'll be great destruction. Not everybody will die, but they'll start looking for the Lord as a result of this gargantuan pain that will be thrusted upon the human race. Very few people will be here.
So you saw some destruction. Now, I heard this notion from other guests. They say that only 1 billion will survive. What do you think about that?
1 being?
1 billion people will survive.
I don't know the exact number.
Yeah.
But it'll be perhaps maybe smaller than that. Because where are they going to go with all this radiation? Maybe mankind will have developed underground lifestyles because there's water under the ground. They may be growing plants down there and eating if they go far enough into the earth. Or maybe they go out in space and then come back. We don't know how it's going to happen, but we know it's going to happen. Even people today are trying to prevent it by saying, let's have a nuclear commission to control nuclear weapons. They're trying their best to stop it, but they've let the cat out of the box now. It's hard to put it back in, right?
Yeah, there is a quote in the Bible. It says 3 days of darkness prophecy. Have you heard about that?
Yes. We live in what these mystics call Kala Yuga. This is the dark age. And when this age ends, you'll go into the golden age. Everybody will be pursuing God. Everybody will be meditating. Everybody will be eating nonviolent food. Everybody will be nonviolent with each other on earth. That age can last hundreds of thousands of years. The golden age go into the millions of years. And then as that age starts to deteriorate, then you end up in the silver age, where life, well, in the golden age, let me go back to the golden age. The average lifespan of a human being will be on Earth 100,000 years, okay? And
Right.
the average man or woman will have the strength of 10 elephants. That's how strong they'll be. But as that age deteriorates, the lifespan also deteriorates. We get into the silver age, the average lifespan is about 10,000 years of age. The strength of the average man and woman will be that of maybe from 10 elephants to maybe one elephant. And its age would be 10,000 years. But as that age deteriorates, we get into the copper age, which the Bible talk a little bit about the copper age, where people can live to be 1,000 years of age. Methuselah, people like that. You hear those ages being over 300, 400, 500, maybe up to 1,000. And the strength gets reduced. You hear about Samson and Delilah, pulling down the man was stronger. So now we into the collar age. But when the Lord comes in these different ages, he makes the spiritual path more difficult with less people. So it may take them 10 to 15,000 years just to reach the astral plane. So on and so forth as the ages. But then as the ages decreases and the time decreases, people start worshiping statues, right? And that's when, no, don't worship any other God before me. The Bible starts talking like that. So in this age where life is short, 70, 80, 90, 100 years of age, these mystics come, perfect living mystics, and they give out great mercy and compassion. So if you had an opportunity, I would rather be born in this age because it doesn't take that much time. They're forgiving of the sins. They make meditation easier. They give out more grace. Even though people are raping each other, pedophiles, murder taking place, children killing their own parents, drive-by shooting, wars taking place, I would rather be born at this time because the path is easier. It doesn't take that much time. If you meet the right teacher and listen to him, you'll go back because listening is the main thing on the spiritual path.
Yeah, that's what that was actually going to be my next question. Why would souls choose to incarnate in this dark age, Kali Yuga age, short lifespan, terrible things happening? Why did they choose to incarnate here versus, incarnating in a silver or a golden age?
I gave you an example last time. I don't know if you recalled it. When I said, if somebody offered you a red pill, which will give you a tremendous, horrific nightmare, but you won't die. You'll just wake up with a horrible feeling while you're having that nightmare. And if you take the red pill, $5 million would be waiting for you in this world on a suitcase. But if you take the blue pill, you can have tremendous heavenly experience, but no money will be waiting on you. What do you think most people will choose?
$5 million.
Yes. So you being bribed to come here in order to have that wonderful spiritual money and treasury when you go back. Okay? I made it very simple, right?
Yep. That's what we need. Simple and to the point. All right. Now, some of my guests say that we are gods. Some say that we are just expression of God. What's your take on that?
I go with Socrates. Socrates said before he died, the word spread, and they wrote in Greece, in their language, over all of their educational institutions and spiritual temples, Worship the gods if you must, but your main and primary duty is to find out who you are yourself and what you're made of. Beautiful statement. Know thyself. That's a popular phrase that Socrates popularized. So we are one being. We can become many, but that's illusionary creation. Like the Lord is one, and he created all of us, but we are one with him. But we don't know that we one. We feel we separate. We are actually one with him. But you don't mind going through this little pain if you can become one with him again. I call it a little pain, but some people commit suicide. Some people are in solitary confinement in jail. They figure they didn't do anything wrong. They're in great suffering. But how many human beings you know, Sergey, that would pray to the Lord and say, Lord, please send me more and more pain? How many human beings will say that while they're on earth? Very few. None, probably, right? They have to be bribed once they go up to accept this experience when they come down to this level of physical consciousness. Okay?
All right. Another question here from our viewers. You mentioned in your previous interview that there are different worlds, different realms of consciousness. Now, do we have to die in each realm of consciousness to move to another one, to the higher one, or we just can shoot right directly to the highest one?
It depends on your teacher. Your teacher, if he's gone to the highest level, he can just wake you up real quick with the big alarm clock. He can take you. He has all of the power. Normally, we wake up gradually from one level to another, but we can get trapped at those levels because of the pleasure that exists there. These are plateaus, spiritual plateaus. And there's so much sight and sounds and enjoyment. We can get caught up in those sensory experiences. Like in the astral plane, you can have panoramic experiences. You can see everywhere at one time. That is fascinating. These senses get expanded. They get enhanced. You can get lost in the senses. People are lost in the senses now. Let me go to a movie. Let me turn on TV. Let me enjoy this food. They're looking for entertainment. You can get lost. Most people don't seek God. They're bored with trying to meditate and seek God. Unless that meditation becomes pleasurable with the bribery that he offers, then we'll move in that direction. But he wants you to seek him for himself out of love. Love is the main ingredient that we need to develop.
All right, sir.
Okay?
All right, Professor. You mentioned the teacher many times. Now, can we make it without a teacher, just believing in God? Or do we gotta have a teacher?
Have you ever had a teacher, like say I'm gonna use this metaphorical example. Say if you were a baby of 3 or 4 and they drop you on planet Earth, what would happen? You wouldn't know what to eat. Animals would be trying to chase you. You may eat like the animals that eat plant-based food. You wouldn't know anything about religion. So religion developed over a period of time. People were cavemen at first, if you go back in time. And as we became more sophisticated, as educational institution developed, we started seeking. Seeking means asking questions. That's the real meaning of seeking. And as you seek, so shall you find. So we seek in school, we seek from our parents, we seek from religious people. So therefore, as our seeking intensifies itself, the teacher will appear.
All right.
You heard of that phrase?
Sure, yeah. When you're ready, the teacher will appear. But
yes.
My question is this. Don't we have an
Yes, you do have the capacity. You can, on your own, figure out languages, words, and you can make a little progress on your own. You can go into the astral plane, but you can't cross that. It's very difficult to cross that plane because when you go there, there's so much to learn there. You're only going to live for 5,000 years there, right? Just like you can only live maybe 100 years here. And you are still seeking knowledge, right? You don't know how long you're going to live when you get into those planes. You know it'll be a long life, like you don't know how long you're going to live here. So it's strange. So the Lord has made it comfortable and easy by saying, and let me quote Jesus, since most of the audience may be Christian, but the Muslim teaching got the same thing. Christ says in, I believe, John 14th chapter, 6th verse, I am the way, the truth, and the life, L-I-F-E. No man can go back to the Father except through me. He was not creating a religious monopoly. He was saying to his disciple that if you want to go back to God, God's method is that he himself will come and get you if you seek him. He doesn't rely on angels or any higher beings. He himself comes. You can't ask for anything better than your own mother coming, grabbing you, taking you back to the Lord, or some protector who loves you unconditionally like that. You can't ask for anything better. That's the best method that he's created. We all looking for love. What better situation than to have somebody who loves you ridiculously, wrap you up in his arm and take you back to the original home.
All right, sir. You mentioned that the astral world is about 4,000 or 5,000. Now, where do we go from there? If we are infinite souls who never die, where do we go from that forth?
We come back here to take that red pill of pain, because we won't choose it until we're there. So we bribe in our seeking, continue to come here until we get tired of the experience. And if we seek intensely, then this creator will come in the form of a perfect master and teach us how to go back and carry us back, actually.
Okay.
That's in the Bible. That's in all holy books.
Okay, so that's in Buddhism teaching, that's called samsara. Samsara wheel.
Yes.
So it's endless coming back and living the life until you learn your lessons, probably. And then you ascend back to the world. It's called, well, in Hindu philosophy, it's called Mahasamadhi.
Yes.
Samadhi is when you go deep into the meditation. Mahasamadhi is when you leave this earth.
Yes, there's always a way to explain this. And if you can think of a wheel that's constantly turning, one life, you're a dog. The next life, you're an elephant. The next life, you're a bird. The next life, you're a bumblebee. The next life, you're a flower. There was a great philosopher who said to his disciples, I had a dream the other night. He was calling the spiritual experience a dream. And he said, I dreamed I was a butterfly. And I was moving around and flying in that beautiful world. And then I became a man. Now, am I a butterfly dreaming I'm a man? That was a beautiful way of expressing it. That's the Chinese way of talking. So you don't know what you're made out of. You don't know what your soul is made out of. You have to experience it. Then you'll know. And you can say, I am that I am. You'll make that statement, which means I'm made of the same stuff as the creator. And I create the same way that he creates. And pain is not that great if it motivates me to go back to my Father. I don't mind the pain while you're in the higher worlds. Okay?
Yeah, I like your expression here when you said a few minutes, I don't know, 20 minutes ago or something, you said Jesus won the spiritual Academy Award. So you think he was an actor, or he was really playing the part of Son of God, or he was really Son of God?
Okay, when they say Son of God, they mean he is actually God, because in the Bible, in the 15th chapter, where he prays to the Father that I want all of my disciples to become one with me, like we are one with you. Father, please grant them that. And he tells his disciples, you will become one like we all are one with God, which means you'll merge into God. You'll become God. And that was his prayer. In another section in that chapter, he said, I do not pray for the world. So a lot of people think Jesus came here to save the world. He said, I don't come here for the world. I come here for those rare beings who are seeking to go back home, and I tell them that they have to love the Father more than they love anything else. He wants ridiculous love. He wants monomaniacal love, one-pointed love. And we are not used to loving like that. Sergey, don't go home and tell your wife that you don't love her ridiculously, okay? No man will say it, or if he says it, he acting, okay? Because you have other interests. You're interested in spirituality. You're interested in books. You're interested in seeking God. God doesn't want you to have scattered attention. He says in Matthew 6:22, the light of the body is the eye, light referring to knowledge. If the eye becomes singular, the whole body shall be full of knowledge. You have to singularize attention on him. You get everything. He doesn't want you loving him for these miraculous powers and for these out-of-body and astral experiences. He wants you to love him for himself, just like you're looking for love for yourself. Not for your looks and your money and your fame and your power, even though you'll become very famous. I see you becoming famous now. But you don't want anybody loving you for that. You don't want your children loving you, hoping you hurry up and die and get all of the wealth. You want them to love you because of yourself. You were a good father. You love because of yourself. That's what you're looking for, unconditional love. And that's what the Father's looking for.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. Oh, everybody's looking for love. Yeah, we are looking for love because we would like to recreate that beautiful feeling that we had on the other side. We'd like to recreate it here. We're searching it in a partner, in our children, our parents.
And it's possible to get it here. Let me tell you what Ishwa Puri said to me. He said when he was with his master, after he had made these spiritual experiences, his master shared with him a story of one of his disciples, asking him a question as he was looking at some mountains. So he said to his disciples, these mountains that you see in this Himalayan area, they just like the mountains in the second stage, Trikuti. Tri means three. So in Trikuti, he said, it's a beautiful scene. And as he was talking, the disciple asked Ishwa's master, do you miss your master now? He looked at the disciple and tears started flowing from his eyes. Now he's God now. Master's God. He said, I will give up my life if I can see my master in body form, in physical form now. How can a master who's God say he would have to see his master in body form? In other words, friendship is the most important thing because he missed that friendship, that two-ness, which you can't have at the higher levels. If you go all the way to the higher level, you experience oneness. So he loved the friendship, the love, the take, I wish I missed that. You understand what I'm saying?
I'm trying.
That's hard to understand. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm not at that level yet, sir. All right. Now, if people want to find more about you, about what you're doing, how they can contact you, if you can.
Okay, they can contact me by emailing me, P as in Paul, R as in Robert, O as in Orange, F as in Frank, B as in Ball, R as in Robert, I as in the alphabet I, N as in Nancy, SON @gmail.com. Or they can call me and they probably will get a quicker answer. 833-351-6222. Let me repeat. 833-351-6222. That's iseek.org, and I can, or my staff will connect me and I can give them a quicker answer because sometimes they get tired of being overwhelmed with typing all these answers and emailing them back. Okay?
Well, it's amazing, Professor, that you are eager to share all your knowledge with everybody, which is very rare. But I think this is what spiritual people have the desire, and they feel like they have to do this.
Yes, I came back here because my teacher said, go back and share this.
Okay.
I didn't want to come back. So like I said earlier, thank you for bringing me back. I don't know whether I should say the hell with you for bringing me back or thank you.
Yeah.
But since my teacher said, come back, I thank you for allowing me to do this service to you and to your audience.